Okay, today we are in learning Likutei Moharan Torah Yud, part 6. Says Rabbi Nachman. Now he's finally getting back to the point that he began right at the beginning of this Torah. And he began this Torah by telling us the importance, the significance of dancing and clapping your hands in order to sweeten judgment. If you want to sweeten judgment, this is the tradition, especially by the Chassidim. And this was taught by the Baal Shem Tov, that when you dance and you clap your hands, you sweeten down judgment. There's many stories with the Baal Shem Tov where there was terrible decrees in Shamayim or judgment in Shamayim, and the Baal Shem Tov was trying to pray and trying to sweeten the judgment in doing whatever he can. Nothing was working. And then the Chassidim, they had no idea what was going on in Shamayim, and they were in the base Medrash, and they're waiting for the Baal Shem Tov. And what do Chassidim do when they're waiting? And they started dancing, started singing and dancing. And then all of a sudden the Baal Shem Tov comes out and he says to them that what I tried to sweeten, whatever I tried was not successful. With your little dance here, you sweeten the judgment, and you ripped up the decree. So it's tremendously, tremendously powerful when a person dances and sings and claps his hands. Clapping your hands is specifically, it's not just dancing. Dancing is where you are bringing joy into your feet, into your legs, and clapping your hands is expressing the joy through your hands. We're going to see the significance of this right away in this part in the Torah. But these two things, dancing and clapping your hands, is expressing the joy in your hands and in your feet, and that sweetens all of the judgment. And so when a person dances and sings and claps his hands, especially through a belief and a trust in Hashem, that you are absolutely sure of the reality, you're experiencing already now and already here the feeling of your wish fulfilled, whatever it is that you are seeking, the Yeshua for, the salvation that you are seeking from Hashem. You believe and you trust in Hashem to such a degree, to such an extent, that you are already experiencing the feeling of your wish fulfilled in this moment, in the here and in the now, to a point where already here and already now you can dance and you can sing, and you actually dance and you actually sing and you actually clap your hands. That's when the magic happens. Okay, that's when the decree is torn up, and the difficult decrees are torn up, and that's when the judgment is sweetened and any difficulties is dissolved. So Rabbi Nachman explains this now based on what he explained to us at the beginning of this Torah up until now. He said this is the significance and the importance of dancing and clapping your hands. Where does it come from? The dancing, the energy that is drawn into your legs and into your hands. When you're dancing and clapping your hands, where is that drawn from? Rabbi Nachman says it's drawn from the spirit in your heart. The ruach shebalev, kanireh bechush. You can see this, you can observe it. It's observable. You can see it with your eyes, right? That's where it's coming from. It's the joy in the heart that is being expressed in your hands and your feet. Karideh simchat halev, through the joy of the heart. He dances and he claps his hands. And even the Tikkun Azor says the exact same thing. Tikkun Azor says, and this spirit, it nashiv b'shit pirkin lidroa or b'shit pirkin deshokin. It's blowing into the six parts of a person's arms, and into the six sections of a person's legs. Why 6? What are the 6 sections? So we know you have your hand, and then after the hand you have the second part until your elbow, right? And then from your elbow until your shoulder is the third part. So that's 3 in one hand, 3 in the second hand. You have 6. And then in your legs also you have the foot itself, and then from your ankle until your knee is the second part, and then from there until your leg connects to your body is the third part. It's again 3 times 2. 2 legs, 3 parts, 6. And so this ruach, it blows. And what does that mean? It blows. It means it's in influencing. The spirit is influencing and expressed within these 6 parts of the hands and 6 parts of the feet. And this is the aspect of dancing and clapping your hands. And this is the aspect of his heart carried his feet. Right? When Hashem guaranteed Yaakov Avinu that he would return to Eretz Yisrael safely, so Yaakov Avinu carried this joy from his heart, and that brought his legs to be moved and to bring him and to travel. Right? So that's Libo Nasait Yadav. His heart carried his legs. Right? The spirit and the heart, the joy in the heart, it affects the legs and the arms of the person. And you can see, right? If you ask any person in the world, it doesn't have to be a psychologist, doesn't have to be very bright. You just ask them, how does a person who's depressed, how do they look? Can you describe to me someone who's depressed? And right away they'll tell you they're slouching and their feet are slouching, and the way they're standing, their stance is in a slouching way, and their hands are maybe dangling at their sides, right? And then how would you describe someone who's full of joy and excitement and happiness? So they're standing straight, and you can see it in their feet, and you can see it in the way their hands are, right? So it's the heart, the spirit in the heart is expressed and seen in the hands and the feet of a person. Through the spirit in the heart comes the dancing. And that's why some people, sometimes you see by a wedding or by a bar mitzvah or whatnot, or simcha or something like that, and everybody is dancing in the middle, and you have some people on the side, they're not in the mood to dance, right? And why they're not in the mood? What does it mean they're not in the mood to dance? Meaning that they're lacking on the spirit in the heart. And so it's just too much energy for them to dance because they don't have that spirit in the heart right now. That spirit of joy, that spirit of happiness in their heart is not there, right? And sometimes you can pull them into the circle, even against their will, and after a few rounds, so then they ignite the spirit in the heart, and then they get into it as well. But Rabbi Nachman explains here, what is the spirit in the heart? Where does that come from? Where is this ruach of simcha that causes libo nasait raglav, that your heart will carry your legs? We mentioned last time what we learned, that the tzaddik is the aspect of the ruach. He is like Hashem says about Yeshua, ish asher ruach bo, a man who is a man of spirit. Okay, so the tzaddik is the man of spirit. He has the ruach, the holy ruach, the ruach of kodesh, the ruach of kodesh. And through that ruach of the tzaddik, the holy ruach, nizbatela gaiva. So he removes the greatest deterrent to joy and to happiness. What's the greatest deterrent to joy and happiness? It's gaiva. Gaiva is the greatest pride, right? Haughtiness. Gaiva. That's what separates a person from experiencing the joy in the now and in the here. Even if things don't seem perfect on the outside, the ability to look past that and to experience absolute joy and absolute happiness here and now, because it's what Hashem has given me, that comes from a removal of the haughtiness, a removal of the pride, a removal of gaiva. What removes the gaiva? The ruach of the tzaddik. How do we see that gaiva, the pride, the gaiva, the haughtiness is the deterrent to the joy, from the joy to be expressed in the legs of a person? So Rabbi Nachman brings the pasuk in Tehillim that says, David HaMelech is praying to Hashem, please let not the foot of haughtiness come against me. That the foot of gaiva, the regel of gaiva, should not come against me. Okay, so we see that there is this aspect of gaiva, the pride and the haughtiness, that is causing a block in the legs of a person from experiencing the joy, the ruach of the tzaddik. And through the ruach of the tzaddik, not only is the gaiva dissolved, not only is the pride and the haughtiness dissolved, but also avodah zarah is dissolved. Avodah zarah is the el acher, right? The idolatry, the other gods, the illusion of any existence, any energy, any power aside from the Ribono Shel Olam. That's the idol worship. That's the kfirot, and that's the avodat elilim, and that's also dissolved through the ruach hakodesh of the tzaddik. As we see that actually it might be in this week's parsha. I think it's in this week's parsha. That it says, well, Avram Avinu says to the guests, he says, wash your feet, right? And Rashi says, what? Wash your feet. Why did he tell them wash your feet? Because the Arabs back then, the people back then, they used to serve as a god the dust on their feet, the sand on their feet from traveling. Okay, and so he told them to wash their feet from avodah zarah. Ze avodat elilim, says the Medrash. This is avodah zarah, and Avram Avinu was telling them to wash their feet from this, from the avodat elilim. Lot also says the same thing to the malachim, but only afterwards, later on. Anyways, the point is that there is a connection between the feet and removing from the feet the blocks in the feet, and the blocks in the feet comes from avodat elilim, comes from idol worship, comes from believing in that belief system, living in that belief system of that illusion of other power and other control, aside from the Ribono Shel Olam. And so we see two things that cause the blocks in the feet. Okay, the blocks in the feet are caused by gaiva, and also by the avodat elilim, avodah zarah. And the Ruach HaKodesh cleans and dissolves these two blocks from a person's feet. And when that happens, you're able to see that happening through the Ruach HaKodesh from the heart being expressed in the feet as dancing, as simcha. That is a sign that you've dissolved these two blocks from the feet. Okay? And when that happens, so then the judgment is sweetened. All the judgment is in the feet. And when these two blocks are removed from the feet, and you've brought sweetness, Ruach HaKodesh, the Ruach of joy, from your heart into the feet, that's in itself a sign of the judgment being sweetened. Okay? And so that's what he says here. When the feet are elevated, they are lifted and dance. That's what happens when a person dances. His feet are lifted. They're going up. How are they going? How are they lifted? Bechinat nasa libo et reglav. It's the energy that is drawn from the heart that is bringing up, elevating, lifting the feet of the person and dance. And that is a sign of the dissolving of the gaiva, batela gaiva. Hainu avodah zarah. These are not just really two separate blocks, but they're really the same block. The block of gaiva is in itself also just another way of saying the block of avodah zarah. Hainu avodah zarah. Through this, the judgment is sweetened. He calls man. So Rabbi Nachman says, why is this a sign that the judgment is sweetened? He calls man sheyesh avodah zarah ba'olam, charonav ba'olam. וכשנתעבר העבודה זרה, נתעבר אחרונף, ונמשכים חסדים, ואז הרגלים הם בבחינת רגלי חסידיו, היינו בבחינת חסדים, היינו בבחינת חסדי דוד הנאמנים. הנאמנים דייקה, כי נתבטלו המינות והכפירות. So Rabbi Nachman says that we know there's a famous sifri that says that as long as there is avodah zarah in the world, so there is this charon af, this divine anger, this anger from Hashem in the world. As long and as much, not just as long as, but also as much avodah zarah is spread in the world, that's how much Hashem's anger is spread in the world. Okay? The avodah zarah equals charon af. It equals judgment. It equals anger. Okay? It blocks the love of Hashem. And that's why the effect of that is an experiencing of the opposite of Hashem's love, which is Hashem's anger. Okay, so avodah zarah in the world is is in itself, it's the essence, it's the source. If you wanted to trace back the source of all anger, of all judgment, of all difficulties that we experience in life, in the world, where are you tracing it back to? Avodah Zarah, idolatry. And we said many times, idolatry and Avodah Zarah is not just mamish bowing down to a statue. It's a belief system. It's the belief system, the living according to the belief system that of this illusion that there is power and control to people and things other than Hashem. Okay, that's what it means, Avodah Zarah. And that's where you trace back any charonaf, any anger, anything that is the opposite of divine love, of Hashem's infinite love, being experienced in your life, trace it back to this Avodah Zarah. And we said Avodah Zarah is, in essence, it's the same thing as Gaiva, okay? Because that belief system is built on Kochi ve'otzim yadi. It's built on the ego. I am and I do, and it's all me, okay? And being separate from Hashem, right? That's also one of the foundations of this belief system of idolatry, the separateness of the world, separate energies, separate beings, separate entities, and all the separateness from the Ribbono Shel Olam, and also that a person is separate from Hashem in any way, right? And that he's doing and he's succeeding in a way that is separate from Hashem, right? So all of that is removed and dissolved through the ruach of the tzaddik, and when that's removed, so then the charon af, the anger from Hashem, is removed, and in its place you experience the love from Hashem, which is, says Rabbi Nachman, the sweetening of all the judgment and the tearing up of any difficult decrees. Okay, and then he says that so when you have the removal of the anger from the feet, you're removing the anger from the feet. How are you doing that? By drawing the ruach HaKodesh from the heart into the feet, and that removes the Avodah Zarah, and that removes the Gaiva from the feet, okay? And that removes, as we said, that in itself removes the Charon Af from the feet. So what's the opposite of the Charon Af? What's the opposite of the anger? The love. So now you have love and joy and happiness being expressed in the feet. So now the feet are called something else. There's a different name that is given to the feet. Now the feet are called Raglei Chassidav, the feet of the pious ones, of the Chassidim. Raglei Chassidav Yishmor, says in the pasuk. The feet of the pious Hashem will protect. Okay, but Chassidav, Rabbi Nachman makes a drasha, is also the same as saying Chassadim. Okay, because now you have brought the Chassadim, the Chesed, the kindness, the divine love, into the raglaim, into the feet. And this is an aspect, as we see in another pasuk, about Chazdei David HaNe'emanim. Chazdei David HaNe'emanim, Kabbalistically, is referring to the feet of David HaMelech, okay? And they're called Chazdei David, the kindness of David, because the feet of David HaMelech are sweetened with this tremendous love of Hashem that is brought all the way into the feet, even though the feet are the extremities of a person's body, they're all the way at the end. They're brought all, the chesed, the love from the heart is brought all the way into the feet. Okay, and that was the end of the pasuk, HaNe'emanim, which are faithful. Why which are faithful? Because if you want to bring Chazdei David, if you want to bring the chesed, the kindness, the love of Hashem, all the way into the aspect of the feet, which represents David, then HaNe'emanim, you do so through the emunah, by removing all of the belief system of the idolatry of Avodah Zarah and replacing it with a belief system of the Torah, the belief system in Hashem, the emunah, then that's how you merit Chazdei David. So Chazdei David, HaNe'emanim, that's what he says here, HaNe'emanim daika, kinitbatlu aminot v'akfirot, because the heresy and the atheism has been eliminated and dissolved. So now, up until now, we've been speaking about the aspect of drawing the ruach of the tzaddik from the heart into the feet. But now let's also speak about the clapping of the hands, drawing it into the hands to a point where that ruach causes a person's hands to be clapping in joy. right? So he says, "V'zeh b'chinat hamchat kaf, gam zeh b'chinat hamchat kaf." This is also corresponding to the hand clapping. Kal yidei haruach nitgale he'arat hayadayim. Because through this ruach of the tzaddik, so the light that is emanating from the hands is going to be revealed. As it says in the pasuk in Shir Hashirim, Kol dodi dofek. The sound of my beloved is pulsating. Dofek is like dofek. Dofek is the pulse of a person in Hebrew. The dofek of a person is the pulse of a person. So Kol dodi dofek, the voice or the sound of my beloved is pulsating. Dofek ze b'chinat ruach. Obviously, the pulse is the ruach, right? Like the Arizal and the Zohar teach us that a person has in their heart, they have nefesh. Nefesh is the blood in a person's heart. That's the physical aspect in the person's heart. And if a person just had nefesh, if a person just had the blood in the heart, then that wouldn't really do anything. In order for a person to live, the heart needs to pump that blood into every part of a person's body. The pumping of the blood is done through ruach. It's an aspect of ruach. There is a ruach that is pumping the blood into every part of the body. Okay, so that pulse that a person feels when a person puts his fingers on the pulse and he feels a pulse, that's you are feeling really the ruach that is bringing the blood to you at these intervals, right? And this pulse, and this exalt pulse. So the pulse is an aspect of ruach. The pulse would not work. It would not be pulsating, right, and sent to you into every part of your body if it were not for this ruach that is starting in the heart of a person. So the pulse of a person is the ruach. Zeh b'chinat ruach. Kamuva b'tikunim, as it says in the Tikunei Zohar. V'samichle, what's the next words in the pasuk in Shir Hashirim? Kol dodi shalach yado min achor. Right? My beloved put his hand in through the hole. So what does that mean? He put his hand in through the hole. Ze b'chinat hitgalut he'arat hayadayim, haynu b'chinat hamcha'at kaf. So if he put his hand in through the hole in order to reach for me, so that means that the hand is being revealed. That's what the pasuk is telling us. That the hand of my beloved, the hand of Hashem, is being revealed. He's stretching out his hand to me, and it's revealed to me. So that is telling us that the hand is being revealed. The light from the hand is emanating. It's being revealed. So the light being expressed in the hands is the clapping of the hands, as we said. Because what energy is causing a person's hands to clap in joy? It's the energy of that Ruach HaKodesh, which is drawn from the heart into the hands, and when it is reaching the hands of the person, then those hands are clapping in joy. Okay? And that starts from the Ruach, because we said, Kol dodi dofek, the voice of my beloved is causing the pulse. And then Dodis shalach yado me'achor, he outstretched his hands through the hole, and the hands are being revealed. So from the dofek, from the ruach of the heart, the ruach hakodesh that is drawn from the heart, the hands, the light is emanating in the hands, and that's the mechat kapayim. That's the clapping of the hands. And then you remove the avodah zarah from your hands. So just like what we had in the feet, removing the block from the feet is removing the gaiva, which is the avodah zarah, from the feet. You also have the same thing when you draw the ruach hakodesh of the tzaddik into your hands. You remove the gaiva and the avodah zarah from your hands, and the aspect like we had by the feet, where the emunah is drawn into the feet. We said, Chazdei David ha-ne'emanim, you have the same thing by your hands. Where is the pasuk in the Torah that represents the emunah being expressed in the hands? The pasuk by Moshe Rabbeinu, when he fought the war against Amalek, it says his hands were emunah. So you see the aspect of emunah being drawn into the hands. And that's when Bnei Israel were victorious and they won the war against Amalek through, at this is expressed in the Torah in this pasuk. When the emunah is expressed, emanating in the hands, you remove the block of avodah zarah from your hands. That's Vayhi Yadav Emunah, and that's seen in action in the Mechat Kapayim, in the clapping of your hands. נמצא שעל ידי הצדיק היינו בחינת רוח שבלב נתגלה הארת הידיים והרגליים היינו בחינת ריקודין ועמך עד כף. So it comes out through here that through the tzaddik, which is the aspect of the ruach shebalev, the aspect is the ruach hakodesh in the heart. Through that, when that is drawn, nitgaleh ha'arat ha'yadayim v'haraglayim, the light of your hands, the light, the holiness, and the light, the life energy in your hands and your feet are revealed through that ruach, because you're drawing it into your hands and your feet. It removes the blocks, and then you see it expressed in your hands and your feet, dancing and clapping your hands. And I think we will start from the beginning of this paragraph and tomorrow Shir Bezrat Hashem. Okay, so wonderful.